We're okay. We haven't missed much. If you're watching this recording, we took a quiz that I forgot to record. And that quiz is called, and there's all the answers. It's called Sig Fig Quiz. But you would never pause it and rewind. No one would ever do that, right? Video watchers. Okay. And we do have some Zoomers. We got a couple on Zoom today. Good to see your names on the screen. Okay. Now, we're learning. Test is tomorrow. I feel like maybe I'd said that before, but maybe not. How about in bright red? You guys, do you realize how fast I get annoyed and how little fun I am after that? You do, right? Not that I ever yelled at her, but I mean, I'm super. If you want a nice teacher, you take Burrell's class. If you want an ornery fat guy, you take my class. But his is positive yelling. Okay, here we go. I'm going to give you some freedom to talk for a few minutes. Don't go ham. Here we go. Will you see if you think you know what intensive, extensive, compound mixture element Sig Fig calculations? Ooh, I put that one twice. No, I didn't. Density calculations, physical and chemical properties, classification of matter and elements. Wow, that was hard for me to read. Talk about those. Tell your partner, I feel good about these and I don't feel good about these, and why. Okay, you have 5 minutes. 5 minutes. How do you feel about them? Hey, give me your attention for 5 seconds. I did not put element twice. I put element and elements. So the difference is, and I'm not trying to prove I'm right, even though I am right. All right. If you had me for driver's ed, you should have learned one thing. Davidson is always right, because I'm always on your right side. That's what I tell the people that can't remember their directions. Okay, moving on. Element and elements. This one, you need to know the definition of an element and how to classify it. This one, you need to know the 50 elements. Okay, continue your discussion. What do you think? You got them? What do you not have? Okay, you won't be alone in that. Did you take notes? Probably on your first page. Yes. Okay. You have 1 more minute for your discussion. Just on Canvas. If you're on Zoom, they asked if they have to turn in a lab report, but it's only on Canvas. Okay, let's start wrapping that up. You got 30 seconds. How do you feel? You ready? Okay. Brooklyn, you feel all right? You don't have to talk. You can hit the chat. And I got Benson's. All right there. Yeah, I got a yeah. Okay, great. Okay. So let's go over this. Thank you. Here we go. Talking to my good friend in the back, and he said, I think I got everything, but maybe intensive and extensive. Does anyone feel that way? Yeah. Okay, where could you find those? If you took notes, where are they? Under properties of matter, maybe 8 inches down on your first page or top of the second one. It wasn't too far in. We drew a picture where we talked about electrolysis, then we talked about properties of matter, and we had intensive and extensive. So in and in. If you can remember, both of them are in. Intensive is independent of how much you have. All right, turn to your partner and tell them one thing about you that doesn't matter how much of you there is. There you go. It doesn't. Bonal, what do you think? Perfect. All right, come back to me. Come back to me, please. Bonal says his sarcasm. Is that dependent on his size? No. Eye color. How beautiful you are. Yeah. Okay. Lots of things about us don't matter how much of us there is. Tell your partner one thing about you that is extensive and does matter how much of you there is. All right. So fairly quickly, I heard right here most people said my weight or my height. Width, volume, all right? Those things matter, but not, your sarcasm, not the color of your hair, not the color of your eyes, not the way your voice sounds. Maybe that one does matter. I don't know. But anyway, so intensive. Thank you. Intensive, independent. There's one that really gets people confused, and that is that density is intensive. It is independent on how much you have. So 1 penny has a density of roughly 1 gram per milliliter. Now, 2 pennies, you think, oh, I have twice as much. But really, it's 2 grams of mass now, but it takes up 2 milliliters. So the density is 1. 3, same thing. Density is made out of 2 extensive properties that when we do the math become an intensive property. Does that help, Jackson? Okay. Compound mixture element. What you will have here, it is tested in a few ways. It's one of my favorite questions of the year. Not to grade. Let me see. I'm super organized, so it's probably, oh, hey, there's one right there. You'll be given this test tube. There's 4 of them. I'll pass around tomorrow, and you look at this substance and you classify it as a compound, a mixture, or an element. Sound fun? Nope. I will give you another tool tomorrow with it that you can perform at least one test. You all right with that? I'm not spilling all the beans, people. Can't be my favorite question if I ask you, ooh, I was going to pop it like my pen. That would have been a bad idea. Yes. That's a good question. How can you determine if it's an element or a compound? I don't know. I'm not going to tell you, but I will tell you, I give credit for more than one right answer, as long as you justify it. Okay. You don't have to know exactly what's in here to get full credit. Yes. Okay. What is the difference between a compound and a mixture? The main one, this is a good question. A compound is separated through chemical means. A mixture is separated through physical means. Okay, I just realized part of what I'm talking about, we better add two words here. That says heterogeneous. Okay. And that says homogeneous. Compounds and mixtures can both be homogeneous. A mixture can be homogeneous or heterogeneous, though. That would be another thing. The mixtures are, we'll usually say a homogeneous mixture is something that looks all the same. But you can also have trail mix, which definitely is a mixture. We can physically separate all the gross things from the M&Ms. That's supposed to be funny. But it's not homogeneous either. Okay. Next, Sig Fig Calculations. It's handwritten on the test, so I don't have to worry about Canvas grading it funny. That's probably why, because today I went to give you like I was going to put it in. I'm like, I don't even have a Sig Fig quiz on Canvas. How is that possible? And now I think it's probably because I tried it before and it failed, so I deleted it. Because I have one on Google Forms, but I thought, why is it there? But it's all coming back to me now. All right, density calculations. So when you start the test tomorrow, I would encourage you to put the Tom circle immediately, because algebra is not hard, but we're dumb, right? We know D equals M over V, but you really struggle to do algebra. So M, D, V. Let the circle do the algebra for you as a reminder. If it's on top of a fraction, it goes on top of the Tom circle. If it's not, it goes on the bottom. And then let me remind you, to solve for what you want, you cover what you're asked for. If I want to solve for density, it's mass divided by volume. If I want to solve for volume, that's the one where kids screw up. That's the number one time you screw up is for V. It's mass over density. Mass, density times volume. Don't do algebra if you don't have to. Sorry, math guy. Did I offend you? Yeah, it works really well with any three variable equation. Like, it hurts my feelings when you're in Calc 1010 and you can't solve for V because you're under pressure. You don't have to. Use the circle, cover what you want, and then plug and chug. Okay, when you do density calculations, you have to include the answer with the correct significant figures. Now you're not going to get 0. I think these actually take out of 5, the density ones. So if your calculator says it's 2.38512 grams, but I gave you a mass, and I'm not going to try and make the math, whatever, but I give you like 2.8, and this is 1.2. This answer can only have how many sig figs? Don't tell me, tell your partner. Or hold them up. Let's do that. Hold up how many sig figs. So find the smart kid and copy him. Good. It's 2. So the correct answer would be 2.4 grams technically per milliliter, right? So that would get you 5 out of 5. That 5 is ugly. I have so much pressure on me since there's a math teacher in here. He's super judgmental, I'm sure. All right, we good with density calculations? All right. Then physical and chemical properties. The key to physical properties are observable without changing the substance. So you could tell if I float by just jump in water, have I changed? I'm wet, but I'm still Tom, right? So nothing big there. So now if you want to know if I burn though, that'd be a chemical property because I wouldn't be the same after you threw me in the oven, right? So a physical property is observable without changing the substance. A chemical property, and honestly, the way these are written, it almost always says it reacts with. You're like, oh, that sounds like a chemical reaction. Oh, that's probably a chemical property. All right, they'll say the word like rust or corrode. I shouldn't say they, I will. I write the test. It will say it oxidizes or it tarnishes. All those things are reactions. So if you see any of those, circle it. All right, there is one word. Well, there's a bunch of words to say the same thing. Have we talked about solubility? Physical or chemical property? This is one you get wrong 99% of the time. It's physical. Sweet. It is physical. Solubility means the ability of something to dissolve. Sugar dissolves in water. Is the sugar still in the water? Yeah. Could I get it out? Yeah, we did that. We evaporated water. We had a sticky plate. So don't get this one wrong tomorrow. Let me look at the exam real fast and see if there's anything that's too tricky on it. All right, there are a couple words. Now I'm going to say more than are on the test, so I don't just give you the answer, but there's a couple of vocab words that I better at least define. They were probably in the text somewhere, but maybe not yet. So malleability. I don't know if I spelled that right, and I honestly don't care. Malleability, have we talked about it? A little. It means, does it bend when you hit it with a hammer or does it shatter? So what type of things are malleable? Metals. Now, you don't need to know that for the exam. You need to know if that's a physical or a chemical property. Yeah, it's still there. All right, along with it, malleability, we have luster. What does that mean? Is it shiny? All right, we have ductile. Probably a word we haven't talked about yet. Remember, Delaney? What is it? All right, can you stretch it into a wire? So all of these are properties of metals. Metals, you pull them and they don't usually just rip, they just stretch. It's the ability to pull it into a wire. So all of these properties are what type of properties? Don't tell me. Tell your friend. Physical. Okay, moving on. Classification of matter, that goes along with this right here. So you need to know, whoops, sorry, that right there. You need to know what those things are. And then I already said you need to know how to classify. But some of them you'll just read. Like I will read this a little bit different than it says on the test. Okay, here we go. Listen, I'll just say it, but I'm only saying it once. A substance is found that appears to the eye to be uniform in composition. Under chemical tests, it breaks down into 3 different elements. How would you classify the substance? Justify your answer. Partner time. He's going to tell you. Okay, I think we're solid here. So yes. That's a mixture. Yep. Yes, this is really good questions they're asking right here. Zoomers and those people Snapchatting. These two just said, wait, what can be both homogeneous and heterogeneous? And that's only a mixture. Because when we define hetero and homogeneous, it's how we see it. Like we can, almost everyone probably knew this was a compound, correct? And it breaks into three parts. So you're like, oh, it's heterogeneous, but it's not. It's how we see it. Because water is made out of H2 and O, but it's just water. You with me? So perfect. Mixtures are the only one that might be homogeneous and might be heterogeneous. Compounds are always homogeneous to our eye. We're not like ultimately breaking it down yet when we define it as heterogeneous or homogeneous. Okay, so you got to be able to justify this. You knew it was a compound, and that's great, but I don't give a crap about that. I kind of do, sorry. I care more about the justification. And in that justification, you can say it's a compound because it broke into three parts. But hey, we tested the mixture, we separated in three parts. So you have to be able to tell me why it's not a mixture, at the same time telling me why it is a compound. And there's one super key word that I read, and I know I just read it once. Well, anyone know that keyword? Go. Chemical. Knuckles. Good job. It's a chemical separation. Physical, think of trail mix. You can just take the peanuts, the raisins, the whatever else, the M&Ms, all that. You can physically move it. But this substance of three parts had to be chemically reactive. So that means it had to be a compound. Okay, and then the 50 elements. If you have not passed that yet, then you have to do that as part of your exam tomorrow. Now, if you would like to, the test is short, so you don't have to do this. But if you're someone that freaks out and gets a little nervous, if you want to come during B time and take the 50 elements to get that out of the way, I would love it. You're welcome to do that as much as you want. If you come to B time and you bomb the 50 elements, you can repeat them again 4th hour if you feel like it. That gives you lunch to eat and cram. So you're welcome to, but not required to come and take it in advance during B time. Clear? Okay, let me tell you the test blueprint. The test will have 10 questions on Canvas that are pretty much multiple choice or just like answering how many sig figs there are. I will not put calculations on there. I already have them on paper, so I didn't need them anyway. So it's 10 basically that are multiple choice. And then it's not real hard. I'll just sort of read the basics here. So the first 3 questions are calculating density, mass, or volume. You must include sig figs in your answer. You must include the unit. Unit of density, grams per milliliter or grams per whatever I give you. Volume, milliliters or liters. And then density again. Then you have to describe how you would separate something, and I describe it, and in bold it says draw the apparatus you would use. We've studied a few apparati. I don't know if that's a thing. We have studied distillation. All right, that's the whatever you heat, you got the pipes. People that do drugs are pretty good at drawing that picture. Then, just kidding. If you're good at it, that doesn't mean you do drugs. We had filtration. That's just like the funnel draining out. And we had what we started with was electrolysis. Is there any other? Okay, so you have to be able to describe it and draw it. The AP test loves drawings, so I make you do them as well. Okay, then this is like from 8th grade. Circle all the following which are physical properties. That's just a list of things. You circle the ones that are physical. Same thing next, classify the following as either a chemical or a physical change. Next, I already talked about that one. So that's where you are given information about something and have to define it. I will modify that a little bit. Then circle all the following which are intensive properties. Intensive and extensive are also on the multiple choice, so make sure you have those. And then there's the question, how do you classify the matter in the test tube? And that'll be passed around to you. And the 50 elements. That is it. It should hopefully only take 20 minutes. If you're really slow on elements, it'll take you 30 minutes, but it's not typically a hard test. We should knock it out. So any questions for me? Yes, sir.
What's the average fail rate?
On this test, very low. Chapter 4 test, greater than 50. Are retakes allowed if I need? I mean, if you really cry hard, sure. My test retake policy is I usually try and make sure you're ready before we pre-take a test instead of post-take. Most kids don't have to. I will allow it as long as there's Mountain Dew and brownies. Just kidding. I allow them, but I hate them. I'm joking.
What is chapter 4? Because I'm worried now.
Chapter 4 is called Solution Stoichiometry, and it is as sexy as it sounds. Trust me. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, it's math. It's complicated math. So if you had chemistry before, it's not that bad. If you didn't, which is almost all of you, it stinks. So I will say something like you have 10 grams of Na2CO3. How many grams of carbon dioxide can you make? How much is left over of the other parts? If it was in a solution, what would its concentrate? It's not hard. I mean, it is now. Everyone would fail that, even BB, because it's been a while, right? Rebecca, been a while. So you'll be fine though. I am super good at teaching this crap. I'm not very good at being humble. I struggle, but I think I'm a really good math teacher, even though I don't like math. So no, I like math. I hate just doing math. I think if it doesn't have words with it, it sucks. But you're all reversing me. You guys like, I don't want a story problem. Well, nowhere in life do you just have to find the square root of 189 for fun when you're walking down the street. Okay. Are you okay? Okay. All right. Now, we baby step up. Chapter 1 test is easy. Chapter 2, really not bad. It's like a history test, honestly. History of the atom mostly. But then we do naming and formula writing. That gets kind of hard. And then we get to balancing reactions and stoichiometry. And it just gets hard for a while. We usually end the chapter. Chapter 4 is the first trimester. And then 6 or 7 of you transfer out. And then we do probably 5 or 6 really easy chapters in second trimester. Now, when I say easy, that's different. Like, I know they're supposed to be easy. How about that? They may or may not be easy to you. And then we get a bunch of hard ones in a row. And then we start third trimester with probably 2 hard ones in a row, and then we take a test, and then we party. That's the outline. Sound good? Okay, any questions about this unit that I can help you with? Okay, there are some things that require you, but you should have picked up as you read the chapter that I have not specifically discussed. You'll get that every test, 2 or 3 questions that are from the reading only. I know that's rude, But when you're good looking, it doesn't matter. Right, Brill? You know, that's all that matters in this world. Okay, we are out of here in 12 minutes. I would read. I would submit the assignments you haven't done. I'm lying. I would take a nap really if I was exactly in your situation. But I want you to do something productive and mostly quiet for the next 12 minutes, and I will answer individual questions. Chapter 1 assignment that you turned in forever ago, probably. I don't know. Okay, Zoomers, you can go ahead and log off right now unless you have a specific question. If you do have a question, hit the chat. I'll still be here, but I'm going to stop the recording.